how do you get your water safe? How do you get your water super, super pure that not only is it clean of contaminants, clean of solids, but it's actually purified? It's water as nature intended. Now, that's the tough thing, and that's almost the impossible or the $1 million question, if you will, is how do we get our water safe? How do we get our water pure? And how do we get it clean as possible? And, what do we even want in our filtration system that we're looking for? Now, we'll go ahead and get into the popular filter types, and we'll get into the pros and cons of these. And then we're going to get into what are the recommended filter systems that we should even be looking for. So in this video, you're going to understand exactly what the best water filtration systems are and how to select a water filtration system for you and your home or your business. Okay, so number one, there's 3 different kinds of popular filtration types out there, and I'll cover the 3 different types, and then there's other technologies as well. So the 3 different types that they talk about, like on EWG, or you'll see commonly on filters or pitchers or even, refrigerator or home units, is the most common thing that you see is activated carbon. Okay, so whether it's in black granules or it's actually formed into a brick or a solid pressed layer that the water fills through, activated carbon is the most common filtration that they use. And it's one of the better comprehensive blocks against contaminants, against tastes, odors, and even if you have some of the other filtration like reverse osmosis, they always include carbon because reverse osmosis just isn't enough. So activated carbon is a very good choice. If you don't have anything else, but you could get your hands on activated carbon, it's very inexpensive and it's a great way to clean up your water and head in the right direction. But it won't clean up everything. So there's some things like arsenic or there's some things like hexavalent chromium that's become a very big issue. It's in a lot of cities all across the US. And for those filtrations, RO, they say that it cleans it up, but it's only cleaning it up while the filtration is new and when it's working. The big problem with these RO membranes is they're based on tiny holes. Sometimes they have different sizes of holes. They have larger holes, smaller holes, and ultra tiny holes. But the point is it's based on holes. So the water has to go through these holes. At any time, the things in the water, whether it's total dissolved solids, whether it's actual poopies in the water or actual things swimming in the water, when it holds these things back, it's good. But the problem is it's just a hole. So when it gets clogged up and every single time there's a variance in pressure, which guess when that happens? Every single time you turn on the water on and off, then you're actually pushing some of the contaminants through. And that's the dirty secret about the water filtration companies or the water filtration industry that they don't tell you. All these tests that they do that run off of RO machines or these other filtration companies, they say 99% removal, but that's only for the first 10%, 20%, or 30% of the life that it's advertised. So for example, if it says that it's doing 100,000 gallons, it may work really well and actually get some of those removal levels for the first 10, maybe 100 gallons. But then after that, literally that fast, it's starting to slow down, clog up, and it really depends on the quality of the water that you have. So RO is really good in getting ultra pure waters, but the cost, the energy, and the time that it takes to push this RO through the system, not to mention the final thing about RO systems is a lot of these cheap conventional RO systems, I just have to mention, it was the gold standard in filtration and has its uses in a ultimate purification system. But relying on RO alone is the reason why we have a lot of contaminants in our water today. Because as I mentioned, a lot of it gets pushed right through the filter as it clogs. And a lot of these filter membranes themselves, if they're not maintained and if they're not taken care of properly, they get infected. And if the filter itself gets infected, it's going to get more clogged, and actually a dirty filter or a filter that is contaminated will let up to 4,000 or 5,000% more contaminants through than a properly working filter or just safe water. So that's something that we absolutely should be mindful about. And not to mention, there's a lot of water waste. So in an RO system, what it's doing is it's providing one part of good water, but it's kicking off and creating 2 or 3 or 4 parts of bad water. Now, I know the RO systems are getting more efficient, but what that wastewater is actually cleaning off the outside of the membrane it hosts to actually kick off that water. But what is that doing? It's only creating a worse problem for the next person. And if you have an RO system, it's not better for you either, because your RO system relies on a good source of water in the first place. So I hope that makes sense. And then the third most popular option that we see are these ion exchange membranes. Now, this is what we absolutely need. They have positive ions to take out the negatively charged items, and then they have negatively charged items to take out the positively charged contaminants. And this is the key to removing things like arsenic, like hexavalent chromium. But the thing about these ion exchange tanks is that they're a lot more costly than the carbon tanks. And to set one of these up, there is a life to them as well. It's not like it's going to go on forever. Once the membrane or the ions inside the membrane have been used, it's done. And so you have to either backwash it or you have to get a new one. And that's the thing about ion exchange. So those are the top 3 most popular filtration methods out there. And there's other filtration and purification methods that I do want to address. I mean, in the water treatment plants, they use everything from ozone and even other things to sterilize the water. In a lot of wastewater treatment plants, they're using a lot of toxic chemicals, and they're saying they're removing out of the water, but water has incredible memory. And unless if it goes through the cycle of evaporating, going up into the sky, and doing what nature intended to clean and purify the water, it's not really being restored and returned back to water, healthy water. And so what we want to look at is there is UV filtration, which is using a very specific spectrum of light that kills viruses and bacteria. And this is great, but the UV filtration doesn't inactivate the chemicals and other things that may contaminate the water. So although UV filtration is good, it is a second, or it is a complementary step with some of the other filters out there. Of course, if you don't have anything else other than UV filtration, that's great. But that's why you're seeing a lot of these newer water companies come up, and they're combining, they're hybriding 2 different factors of filtration. So for example, there was that one company that got shown on Shark Tank, and they have these water bottles that have the UV light at the top, which again is great, but it's only if you have the right filter. I mean, again, it's better than nothing. The UV light is better than not having any filtration or any light at all. But what I mean is, if you have tap water or if you have a dirty source of water, putting UV may kill some of the viruses and bacteria, but you still have the contaminants to drink, the forever chemicals and the nanoplastics. So how do you remove that? And that's why you want at least a 2-factor filtration or more. And that's what I'm talking about, and that's what we should look into. There are specific filtration systems that are designed with not just nanofiltration, not just carbon filtration, not just reverse osmosis, and not just ion exchange. But I would say the most important technologies to look for in the future and what are being developed are nano filtration membranes. And you do want filters that are designed to flow fast, but still filter your water. And that's the trick. Because if it gets clogged, it's actually starting to let contaminants through. But if it flows so fast and it's not doing its job, if it's not designed to purify it, if it's not going through enough steps, enough factors, then there's not enough comprehensive protection against all of the different kinds of contaminants in the water. So nanofiltration is a great up-and-coming kind of technology that we're going to see a lot more of. And then there's carbon. Carbon is always going to be used until we can find a better technology. But then the next big thing is there's actually specific filters that you can find that are actually designed to prevent virus and bacterial load in the first place. And then that prevents the clogging or the degraded use quickly. Instead of it lasting 6 months or a year or 5 years like some of the filters say they're going to last, they're really only working really well for the first couple of weeks or the first couple of months. And that's what most people don't know, is because they test it right after they get it and they're not testing it throughout its use. But when you do, that's what you find out. So I hope you liked the information in this video. If this video brought you any value, go ahead and hit the like button. And if this is the first time you're seeing me or this channel, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate any of the support, so that way you see more videos like this. Otherwise, you may not see a video like this ever again. And if you want to get a recommended filter system, I'm working with a nonprofit actually to validate filters and filter systems to the end of life. There are these point of use systems, and that's going to be the hot new term, because we can't rely on our tap water. And just like we can't pay somebody to do our push-ups, we can't rely on somebody to clean our water for us. We have to do it ourselves, especially if we want to protect our health, our family, and our well-being. So when it comes to the recommended filter choices, there's two places that I'd recommend that you look at. Is the Safe Water Seal. You can find it by going to bluewaterseal.org. It's a nonprofit, and it's committing to providing safe and clean sources of water. They do all of the science and they do all of the verification to make sure filters aren't just selling. Anybody can sell a filter. Anybody can sell even ice to an Eskimo, believe it or not. But what you want to do is you want to find a filter that works until the end of its life, and that has a design that protects you from the comprehensive panel of contaminants that we have in tap water, and that's common today. So if you want a filtration system, if you want a filtration system that's beyond water filtration, it goes to water and purifying the water, I recommend you check out GoBioHydro.com. That's GoBioHydro.com. It's BioHydro. It's my company, full disclosure on that. And it's the company that I didn't create these membranes. As I've done my research and over the last 8 years of searching for the best filter system, the best filter membranes, I actually decided to start this company just a couple of weeks ago because I realized all the recent contamination issues. So my job was to educate, and I was doing it for free. I was doing it without any company that I was working with. But not only because I think this is important, I think that this is something that I see is something that we should be mindful about for the rest of our lives. So I've decided to not only partner with the top manufacturer out there, we're working on creating the seal, a safety seal for water. So that way, when you go to a restaurant, you will know that you have clean water, it's safe water, and eventually you'll even be able to scan a QR code or be able to look up the restaurant or the place of business or the place that you're using water to see if that source of water is safe, and that's the biggest key. So go ahead and hit the like button if you got any value from this video. And if you want to subscribe to see more videos like this, there should be a button somewhere on this page. Leave any comments below if you have any questions about filtration methods or the different kinds of filtration there are out there. Ultimately, we don't want to just filter our water. We want to purify our water. And if we can look for a system that has not just one factor, but multiple factors in it, we're going to have comprehensive protection against contaminants. Of course, start where the budget that you can afford and where you are. If you want a safe water guide, I'll leave the link for that below as well. It'll be a quick guide that you can know exactly what to do to clean up your water, why you need to do it. And it's an overview of what we talked about in this video and the videos to come. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.